bore me then.
There you go. You're ready to go.
Okay, my name is Jean Leffingwell. I'm a resident of Moscow, a resident of the state of Idaho, and a citizen of the U.S. and the world. I'm addressing this to the members of the State Board of Ed, this is correct, as well as the rest of you now. I'm going to read this, basically. Concerning a debate over whether or not to strike references to human-caused global warming in Idaho's science curriculum, my thoughts are these. It is generally agreed that a STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, is profoundly important. Why would we not want our young people to be as competitive as students in other developed and developing nations? All the countries in Europe, as well as China, India, and countless others, are already taking steps to combat climate change by changing the fuels they use. From fossil fuels to wind, solar, wave, and other renewable sources. They are already deciding to change the ways they do business and educate their young. Our students will be relegated to the backwater of business and technological innovation by our continued arguing about whether or not we humans have anything to do with global warming and climate change. Here's one way to look at it. Why, if we haven't had anything to do with climate change, and therefore still don't have anything to do with the supposed problem, should we waste our time dealing with it? If the changes are simply natural fluctuations and not related to our human activities, what's the point? We won't be able to change things anyway, and who cares? So what besides the opinion of 97% of educated scientists worldwide is the point? Let's take a look. And I will send these along with my comment. I have 3 articles just from yesterday's and today's paper. Let's start with in the Daily News. Human-caused climate change rerouted entire river. Maybe some of you read that. Same paper, former coal mine to turn into solar farm. Why would a coal mine want to turn into solar farm? Spokesman review. Exxon Shell defend Paris Climate Accord. What's this? I also have from National Geographic November 2015 special climate issue. I'd like to read just a couple of paragraphs. At the beginning, here's the challenge. Natural climate, now this isn't exactly a controversial publication. It's been around for 125 years. Fairly decent journalism generally. Natural climate cycles explain why the warming has happened unevenly and fitfully, but not the warming trend itself, which has overwhelmed the cooling effect of the ash from volcanoes. It has coincided over the past half-century with a surge in carbon emissions from our rapidly industrializing world. Finding a way to stop those emissions and climate change is the challenge for the next half-century. And there's a number of different ways they're discussing this, but one is called cities. More than half of the world's population lives in urban areas. Since urban areas already account for an estimated 76% of CO2 emissions from energy use, and many are especially vulnerable, the cities, to flooding and high temperatures, it makes sense that city officials are taking on climate change. The next page here, we're talking about the world, just one line here. Geoengineering. As global carbon emissions rise, advocates say more research into geoengineering is needed. Here's an example. In Germany, we got them working on a little wind power here, and this is what their students are learning to deal with. I'll send this along with you.
About 30 seconds.
Okay. And we also have problems about people's Arctic homes disappearing and water flooding island homes. So I'll just finish up here. Sources, where do we get our news? I ask you, would we want to keep our students ignorant and unaware of the work that many other nations, companies, research institutions, and many other state legislatures and school districts are already encouraging their students to explore and work on? Why on earth would we want to go backwards here against overwhelming evidence about just what kinds of jobs will be important in the future? If these questions don't have any impact, then let me ask you, what do you want for your children? Do you want their options, their futures to be diminished because we were long past the time to grow up and get to work, still crouched in the sandbox arguing about who did it?